This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition.
Today's service call is a kitchen AC that is not keeping up, okay? They said it's getting hot in the kitchen, and today it's not as bad, but look in here. The condenser is just completely damaged on this unit, but it's really dirty too. If you look over here, it's plugged. But then on top of that, this fan motor's not working and it's locked up. So it has power, but if you just move it, actually I disconnected the power, but it's just locked. It doesn't even free spin. Bearings are shot. So I've got a new condenser fan motor, but first we got to clean this guy up. So we're gonna shut it down, open it up, pre-rinse it, coil cleaner, you know the deal. Let's get it taken care of. Well, shoot. It's gonna be a long day if this is my water pressure. Gosh darn it. I gotta maybe go see if I can get to a different hose bib, but the point is to get the bulk of the big stuff rinsed off and get the coil completely saturated so that way the cleaner has something, a smooth surface to run down, so that way the cleaner can be most effective. So I'm gonna work on getting all this big stuff rinsed off first, and then I gotta figure out this water issue. What the heck, man? I could pee harder than that. Look at all the stuff that came off. I was able to get the water pressure. I turned it all the way to hot. For some reason, the cold is really low pressure. So I hate to do that because you can deplete their water heaters if you use the hot water, but I mean, the coil's got to get cleaned, right? So we're just gonna go through, do a solid rinse, make sure it's coming through all the way, and then we'll apply the coil cleaner. You know, the funny thing is that it actually isn't hot water. Their valves are all messed up. So I originally had it on the C setting for cold, and it was kind of warm. I thought it was just my hose. And then I put it on the H setting, and then I had pressure, but it's cold water coming out now. So go figure. But look at the stuff, like big old chunkers coming off of this thing. Like, it's pretty insane the amount of stuff that's just falling down. Get in there, the Viper foam gun with the Viper blue venom pack, and now I'm going a little strong on this one because it's pretty dirty, but we're just running through it. We're gonna coat all sides and do a rinse, and we may even have to do another coat because yeah, this is just pure neglect. This customer's just not doing maintenance, but on the plus side, they are starting maintenance, just not with me. So we're going to use another company that does it nationally across the country. But we'll still be doing the service work, or so I'm told. So we'll see. But all we can do is do our best, right? So I love this wand. This thing is awesome. Up or down motions with like the jet setting. And look at that, just coming through. You can see it's foaming up over there because I went pretty strong with it. These guys, like I said, we need to get this clean. The inside one's really bad. All done rinsing the condenser, but now I'm going to change this condenser fan motor. So what I like to do is loosen the belly band bolts and then undo one of these, and that thing will slide right out, blade and all. Then we'll drop in a new motor and blade. Condenser fan motor's all changed out. Right here, we got a new capacitor in here. So now I just put it into test mode. We're going to go to C11. Hold it down. Hopefully nothing blows up. There we go. Condenser fan motor's running. All of them are running. So we're gonna let it run, cool the building down. I'm gonna rinse off all the other outside air filters on these ACs. We come over here. We've got outside air filters on every one of these, and they don't have makeup air units at this restaurant. So they use the outside air filters for fresh air to make up for what the exhaust fans are pulling out. So we got to make sure these are clean. So I'm gonna go rinse all the other ones. All right, first stage looks like it's low on refrigerant. Possibly. That subcooling's kind of weird though. Why is the subcooling so high with a really low suction saturation? And we're frosting up coming out of the TXV really bad. We better check liquid line filter dryers. I don't know what's up with that, but that's for the first stage. Second stage, really high subcooling. Really, really high. That's weird. I need to check my probe placement, but saturation temperatures look good. Third stage, not bad. Not bad. So we need to look into this guy, figure out why we're running such a low suction saturation and why the subcooling is as high as it is. We are using discharge temperature, so actually that's probably why the subcooling is that high. All right, first stage has an 86 degree, 85 degree temperature leaving the liquid line, okay? If we go down here and we go to the toolbox, go to probe manager, we have 95 degrees entering the filter dryer. We have a liquid line filter dryer. So this liquid line filter dryer for the first stage is restricted. So entering, leaving is over there, and we have a 10 degree temperature differential across this dryer. This dryer is doing its job and it's cleaning up that system. What was here before was a mineral oil compressor. What has been installed is a polyester oil compressor, okay? Well, let's see here. Double check, make sure I'm not lying. Yeah, mineral oil. This is an original compressor from 2008, mineral oil. What we installed in 22 is polyester oil, so it's been scraping the lines of the system. That, and the customer's not doing routine maintenance, so they're probably cooking that oil also because of how dirty the condenser was. So let's move on to the next compressors and see how those ones are doing. Before I move on any further, so what was confusing me was we have a very low suction saturation temperature, 22 degrees, 46 PSI for 407C, extremely high superheat, and the subcooling is like 13 degrees. I mean, I'm like, wait, what's going on? Because with 13 degrees subcooling, it doesn't look like it's out of gas like it's acting like with the low saturation temp. And that's because the liquid line filter dryer is plugging up. This is the subcooling leaving the dryer right here. This line is cool to touch. So yeah, definitely a plugged up filter dryer. So second stage. I don't know where my little line thing went. Subcooling 24 degrees. That's a really high subcooling. Saturation temperatures are where I'd expect them to be. That's the original compressor. It's rough, but let's keep on going. This equipment needs to be changed. Third stage, 407C. Saturation temperatures are within range. 44 degrees suction, 113 condensing, 10 degrees subcooling, 10 degrees superheat. Third stage is kicking butt. So let's go ahead and go over here. What kind of a temp split? We have a 16 degree temp split because we're kind of missing one compressor. And I don't know why we're not getting an airflow. Oh, because I need to turn the true flow off. I need to turn that off. How do I turn true flow off? Cancel. For some reason, it's flow grid. Let's change that to continue. There we go. Okay. So now this unit is doing better than it was when I got here. I didn't realize there was first stage problems too. But third stage was off on lockout. Or wait, or was it? It was 14. It was second stage. Second stage was off on high pressure. Third stage was running. So now they have two compressors running. This one right here is struggling. We need to change the liquid line filter dryer. I'm not going to be doing that today because I have other places to be and I already spent way too much time here. But we will be coming back to change that filter dryer. All right. I'm like wanting to take care of this drain because this drain is dripping on the floor on this AC, and I'm doing the math and I'm looking at it. It looks like it's sloped up, and I got my level out. Yep, this thing is sloped up. Look at that. The further you go, that's not even really weighing down on it, the more it gets sloped up. Jeez, man, how has this thing ever even worked before? So yeah, that is not going to drain into that because it's going uphill. I mean, I guess maybe if I put a riser on there, as long as the riser is not taller than the drain pan, it might go up. But that's just going to cause for plugged up drain lines. So that's kind of ridiculous. We almost need to, I think when we come back to change the dryer, if we make a new trap, I don't know why this is only being discovered now, but if we make a new trap and make it a little shorter, we just want to make sure we're not pulling the water out of the trap when the unit turns on because of the negative air pressure. But yeah, that's the only thing we can do, really, is shorten the trap. Yeah, fun stuff. Anybody else as crazy as me when it comes to the rope and the hoses and everything? Like, I'm try to be as careful as possible with my tools, such as my rope. I like, you know, this rope has lasted me at least 2 years, if not longer, because I don't let it sit on the roof as much as possible. I don't let it sit in water. I don't let it sit in mud, you know. I left just enough down at my cart down there so that way I can pull things up and down, but then the excess slack is out of the way and nobody's tripping over it. We're gonna get started on this dryer change out. Got a few things, and then we'll go down and get the vacuum pump when it comes time for that. So let's get on with it. Kitchen AC just turned on for its morning pull down, so it's currently like 78 degrees in that kitchen. I want to give them a fighting chance today. I can shut off the AC completely and just do all my business for 6 hours, but what I'm going to try to do is leave the AC running as much as possible until I can't anymore. So what I did for now, because I didn't even want to shut it down, I just disconnected the high pressure control right here, and the first stage shut down on high pressure safety. So we're getting a high pressure safety code right there. I can recover the gas now with everything else running. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna recover the gas, and then at the last minute, we'll shut down the unit and change the dryer. But I'll try to leave it running, try to be as courteous as possible, and help the customer, you know, have a fighting chance today, because it's gonna be hot. It's all about thinking, right? Large diameter hoses, we're gonna invert the tank to push gas into it faster. I've purged up to here. So last thing we do is I leave this hose loose, this closed, slightly loose right there. We open this, make sure this is open, and now we're purging. So we're gonna let it purge for a second. This is good enough. Now we've cleared the lines. Now, it's just good practice to do that. I'm actually gonna change this refrigerant anyways because we're contaminated. The system's plugging up dryers. We're not gonna chance it, and it's just 407C. So we're gonna recover, dispose of this, and then we'll put new gas in when we're all done. But we're gonna get the recovery process started, and I'm gonna invert the tank so that way it doesn't have to go through the dip tube, because on the liquid port there's a dip tube going to the bottom, and that dip tube's pretty small, creates a pretty significant restriction. So we're going to zero out this guy too, and I'm gonna get going on all that. We're gonna put in an HH dryer, okay? This, if you gotta think logically, this was originally a mineral oil compressor. This has been replaced in 22. It's a POE oil compressor. These customers don't do good routine maintenance, so it just fouls up the oil, just contaminates the system. We did a compressor change, and that polyester oil acts as a solvent in the system, and it scrubs the walls of the pipe, and we have a plugged up dryer now because the oil's just going through the system, and the oil's probably trash too. So we're gonna do our best. We're gonna put in an HH core dryer, okay? Now, a lot of people think this is a high acid dryer. It's not necessarily what it is. The HH core is a high wax removal for when you have the varnish or the wax that's on the windings of the compressor. When it starts to deteriorate, sometimes normal dryers won't necessarily pick all this up. This right here will do a better job of cleaning up the system. And then I'm probably gonna install ball valves so that way if we have to change the dryer again, we don't necessarily have to recover the entire charge. That's the plan at least, but we'll see what happens when we get in here. But going with the dryer, I like the Sporlan catch-alls. Use their sizing chart. This is good through 5 tons on 407C. This is a 5-ton compressor. We could go bigger, but I'm not gonna do that today because I don't have one, so. Got the dryer all brazed in, ball valves, so that way you could recover the charge and check pressure drop across the dryer. Everything's good. Now we're just pressurizing the system. We'll just put it up to 100 PSI and then make sure that, just a little over because it's gonna drop a little bit. Make sure that we pass the standing pressure test, and then we'll get the evacuation running. So I use the Viper wet rag heat blocking compound to kind of protect the sensitive components. And then it gets kind of dried out. Just squeeze the remnants of a wet towel into there and seal it up, and then it'll absorb all that moisture and then be good for the next time. I've got the unit back on, and I still have the first stage compressor disconnected, letting all the rest run so that we're cooling down the kitchen while I'm pulling the evacuation. So evacuation's running. It's struggling a little bit, but I was pushing a lot of nitrogen through the system, so you can kind of agitate the compressor and you'll see it jump, and then you'll see it drop. So just keep working on it. You can also make sure the crankcase heater's on, that'll help, just anything. Got to get that entrapped oil out of and refrigerant potentially in the oil. I'm sorry, trapped nitrogen and potentially trapped refrigerant out of the oil, and then your vacuum will start looking a lot better. All right, we're getting there. It's about 700 microns on the graph. I actually have 2 gauges on here. They're pretty close, but it also shows you that at different points in the system you can have different micron ratings. But I'm pulling through both hoses, so when I do my decay, I really want to see, you know, what comes up and everything. But yeah, we're looking good so far. I'm just trying to clean up a little bit. You know, just doing everything I can to keep moving instead of just standing around and sitting on my thumb kind of a thing. You know what I mean, Bern? It was having a hard time depressing the Schraders, so the cool thing is I can valve it off with the valve core remover. And I pulled the Schrader depressor out on each one. And then now I got the graph reading both of them. So that's kind of cool. You don't see the drop anymore, but it was like giving us a problem. So now we can actually trend it with both of them. So I just started the first decay test. We may have to pull down a little bit longer because it is rising kind of fast, but you can see on the graph it pulled down to like the 300 range, and then now we're in decay, but it is kind of tapering off. When you see that taper like that, that's a good sign. You just don't want to see straight up when it comes out of decay. So we'll let it sit for a minute, and then if it passes, then we'll go ahead and do our charging the system up and starting it up, hopefully. All right, we are good. I'm gonna start charging this guy up. We're zeroed out on the scale, so I'm gonna open up the high side. 11 pounds, 8 ounces is the R22 charge. So we'll probably get it to about 10-ish pounds and then field charge it from there based off of the system vitals, because theoretically it's gonna take a little bit less gas than what the R22 charge would be. I'm charging in on the high side, and it's coming back on the suction side really well, so that's a good sign that the TXV is open. So we're just gonna let it add gas to the system, and we still have the compressor disconnected. I have the contactor disconnected and the high pressure control. All right, it only took about 7 pounds. That's about all it would take. I hooked everything back up, and I actually changed the compressor contactor because it was really, really burnt in there too. It's kind of hard for you guys to see. We're gonna start it up. 1, 2, 3, please don't blow up. There we go. And then now I'm just gonna charge through the low side, adding gas. We're gonna get close to about 10 pounds, and then like I said, then we'll kind of look at subcooling and superheat and see how it's doing. But it's running. All right, I am probed up on everything, and we are looking really good. So first stage, we're at right at about 11 pounds. Right about 8 degrees subcooling, 15 degrees superheat. It's still kind of balancing out. Let's go to the second stage, give it a second. Subcooling is about 13 degrees. I don't know why the superheat number missed, but about 7 degrees superheat. Not too bad. Let's go to the third stage. About 11 degrees, 9 degrees. Okay, let's go. Temp split's about 16 degrees. What are we calling for? Calculated target 17.4, so I'm happy with that. Airflow looks decent. Delivered capacity, I think we have some probe issues that's typical on these package units. We're calling for about 168,000 BTUs. We're delivering about 163,000. I'm super happy with this. Don't see any problems. This guy's running, happy. It's already labeled 407C. This one's 407C. This one's still R22. This unit's happy. This unit's running. We have the ball valves in case we want to change the dryer again. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't plug it up again. It takes a while when you change these to polyester oil for them to scrape all the walls of the system. So yeah, we'll see, but that's it. Customer's gonna be happy. They have a functioning kitchen AC now. We've already worked on all their other ACs. They had other AC issues too, like fan motors and stuff. But yeah, condenser's clean. Yeah, all is well. Condenser fan motors are all running. That's it. We will catch you guys on the next one.
You know, when you walk up to these, understanding the way that your customers operate is really important. Now, I know this customer doesn't do routine maintenance, right? So it's really easy to walk up and be like, oh, it just has a dirty condenser. Tell the customer, I'm going to clean your condenser and you'll be good to go. Okay, but it also had a bad condenser fan motor. And then after that, we also found that it had a plugged up liquid line filter dryer. And then they had a drain issue, which I didn't show you guys. We didn't permanently fix that drain, but it's actually draining okay. We're talking to the customer about potentially changing the unit. So we'll probably address the drain when that comes. But the point is that don't necessarily assume the first thing you find is the only problem. Plugged up condenser needs to be cleaned, yes. But we don't go down there and just say, it's a dirty condenser, this will solve your problem, because it also had a bad fan motor. And then it also had a plugged up filter dryer. But it would have been hard to diagnose the filter dryer with a plugged up condenser because the system wasn't running long enough. Okay? I mean, it's possible, but still, you gotta look at the big picture. You gotta work your way through the problem and communicate with your customer, keeping them in the loop the whole time. A lot of people ask me all the time, how is it that my customers let me change all these parts on these units? Well, I'm sure, you know, you'd have to ask my customer, but I'm sure a lot of it has to do with trust and honesty. You know, I give it to them straight. I'm not, you know, making up lies. I'm not trying to change things just to make money. Of course, I run a business and I need to make money. My business needs to be successful. I need to be profitable. But I have found that I can be profitable by being honest, by telling the customer what they really need and letting them make the decisions. They may not want me to do all this work if they're going to change the unit, okay? So I give them the options. Hey, we're in the middle of summer. It's 110 degrees outside. Your AC's down. I can't do much. I can get it halfway going. We could clean it. We could change the fan motor, but you're going to have a plugged up filter dryer. You know, this was an expensive bill, but the customer approved it because they need this to be operational so that way their cooks can make, you know, the food that the patrons want to eat. And, you know, so I mean, it's a big circle and it's all about looking at the big picture. I can't stress that enough. Okay. Take a step back and look at the big picture. Remember, when you're really, really struggling to try to figure out a problem, majority of the time, it's right in front of your face and it's really easy, okay? Not always. There's times that it can be complicated. Trust me, I get those complicated moments because I don't usually get the super easy service calls. I get the more complex ones. And, you know, so sometimes I got to scratch my head and take a step back, right? So remember that. Don't be afraid to ask for help. That's something else I can't stress enough. I get people reaching out to me all the time, and I try to help people when I can through email or through, you know, messenger messages or whatever. You know, I get so many people reaching out to me, and I can clearly tell that they're in over their head, okay? Their office, their management needs to know that. I can't stress that enough. If any of my employees is struggling, I need to know because then I can educate them better. Okay. Now I understand some people are afraid to show that they don't know how to do something, but that's not the right way, in my opinion, to go through your career. Okay. You don't wing it until you know, or fake it till you make it. Like that's not benefiting anybody. I can't stress enough how much I would appreciate one of my employees coming to me saying, man, I'm not really confident when it comes to this particular piece of equipment, and I'd really like some guidance, because that tells me that they want to do better. Okay? If they don't communicate with me and let me know their weaknesses, then I can't help them grow. And it benefits me immensely for my employees to grow, and it benefits the employees at the same time. If my employees are reaching out to other people for help, okay, then I don't know their weaknesses. Now, I realize there's some companies that don't want to help their employees. Okay, you need to move on to a new place, okay? I highly suggest that you find a place that wants to be part of your growth, that wants to train you, that wants to educate you, and that wants you to be successful. That's how I feel for my employees. I want them to be successful, because if they're successful and they're happy, then I'm successful and I'm happy. Okay, so I can't stress that enough. It's very important that you understand what you're working on. And if you don't, I highly suggest you reach out to your management, your supervisors, and ask them for guidance. Ask them for more training. If they're not willing to give you that training and that guidance, then in my opinion, you really, really need to think and make some serious decisions about the place that you work. Okay? I'm going to step off my pedestal and do my thing, but I really appreciate you guys making it to the end. Okay? Remember, if you guys are interested in supporting this channel, there's a few different ways, but the easiest way to support this channel is literally just watch the videos from beginning to end. I say that almost every video, but it's so true. Okay? Couple other ways you can support the channel via PayPal, Patreon, or YouTube channel memberships. There's links in the show notes of the video on how to do that. You can also go to my website, HVACRvideos.com, where we have merchandise available. This is my signature hat right here, HVACR hat. This hat, I put a lot of effort into. It's got a black underbill. It's so hard to explain, but it's a breathable, see-through, activewear material. Okay, flex fit on the back. The black underbill is so important to me because there's nothing worse than having a hat that has a white underbill and then you're at work and it gets all fingerprint stained and everything. Now this one, if it gets fingerprint stained, you don't know because it's got a black underbill, right? We have a couple different styles on this hat too, but really importantly, there's no big giant logo that says HVACR videos, and that was by design, okay? Because it's just the HVACR acronym with my color scheme. The whole idea of this hat was that people potentially can wear this at their workplace and not violate uniform policies. Now, there's some places that still do. You know, that's a violation of uniform policy. But I was hoping, and for the most part, the feedback that I get is people buy these and they can wear them because it's not advertising, you know, anything crazy. It's just a way to support the channel and you get a good quality hat. There's a couple other different styles. We've got a flat bill that's actually a snapback, but it's also a flex fit. Okay, so it actually stretches. Again, black underbill for people that like the flat bill hat. And we have a slouchy dad hat for people that have really short foreheads. This won't work on me because I have a giant forehead. If I put this on, it just doesn't fit my head right. It doesn't come down far enough. But it's a very high quality hat. Definitely can check them all out at my website, HVACRvideos.com. Now that I got hat head. HVACRvideos.com. Great way to help support the channel. Last but not least, if you see any tools, you see that I was using the Field Piece Job Link probes. You saw that I was using that Supco nitrogen adapter that my buddy Chris Hughes from the Energy Conservatory actually designed. You can pick all that stuff up at TrueTechTools.com. And if you find anything you like at TrueTech Tools, you can use my affiliate code. Big picture, one word. Now, an affiliate code, what we do is I have a negotiated rate. I get a small commission every time you purchase something, and that affiliate code also gets you an 8% discount on majority of the items at TrueTech Tools. So again, TrueTechTools.com, another great way to help support the channel. I really appreciate all your feedback. I really do try to get to as much of the feedback. I try to read the comments as much as I can. Now, there is a lot of comments, sometimes 200 to 300 per video, so it is a little bit difficult, especially when I'm putting 2 videos out a week, but I try. I try my best to get to them, to read them, and occasionally I get a chance to respond to them. You can also shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com, if you want to talk about anything. You can find me on all social media platforms at HVACR Videos. Thank you so very much, and we will catch you on the next one.